made it.
Oh my gosh.
What a week. Holy cow. And it's only Wednesday.
I know. There's something about the holiday and then the last week of school here in Sonoma. Everybody started. I saw a few people in the grocery store earlier. And I was like, are you feeling as crazy as I'm feeling? But I'm trying to stay grounded and enjoy it all. And so cheers to moms. Cheers to women.
Cheers to women.
Cheers to, I mean, not
cheers
that
to
I
girls.
don't love,
cheers to the
girls.
last week of school, to all graduates out there. Cheers.
Yep, we have, let's see, preschool going to kindergarten. We have kindergartners going on to elementary school. We have elementary school promoting to middle school. And middle schoolers going off to high school, which is what I'll have going on here tonight.
It's so cool.
And then I just picked up my daughter from the nail salon, and there were a bunch of seniors that are graduating on Friday night.
Wow.
So that's what prompted the actions speak louder than words, because we have a lot of girls around us on a regular basis, not only our daughters and each other's daughters and their friends and their friends' friends, and just a bunch of really amazing young girls in our community that are probably watching everything we're doing.
All the time.
And we don't even realize it part of the time, right?
Yeah. And I think one of the things that spurred this whole conversation is how life can get so busy and the stress can come, especially at the end of the year, and just how, as women in our lives, we are role models every day, all day long, right? And it's to our girls, it's to each other, it's to the community, it's to everybody. And just really asking ourselves is, are we living, are we modeling, are we being and breathing that behavior that we want to put out into the world, that we want to show up?
And it's as simple as how you talk to a stranger, or as profound as how you treat your kid in the heat of the moment when you're not really happy with either how they're behaving or with something else that's going on in your life that promotes that level of angst and that level of maybe saying or doing something that you might not really love when you look back at it, right?
Totally.
And I read an article that was posted on Facebook, and I read the whole thing, and I said to Piper yesterday, you have to read number 1. It was 20 things for teenage moms to think about when parenting excuse me, thank you. Teenage moms. Oh gosh. No. Cancel clear. No. 20 things for moms of teenage girls to think about and to realize. Yeah. And number 1, which is also what prompted this whole conversation, was that they will forget their backpack, they will forget their lunch, they'll forget their homework, they will forget a lot of things in life, but they will never ever forget the first time you said a swear word. They'll never forget the first time you yelled at them or treated them the way they really didn't feel like they wanted to be treated. They will never forget how you maybe treated a girlfriend when things weren't going well, or between the two of you.
How you reacted to something. Yep.
So that made me really stop and think, oh my gosh, even when we don't want to be watched, even when maybe we're hoping to not be listened to or heard, we totally are. We totally are. And I think it's kind of what are some of the things you do to help yourself stay present and stay in that mode of, obviously, I mean, days are full. That's a lot goes on in our day. And how do we show up? Can we show up engaged all the time and present and awesome and happy? And no. And being okay with that, I think, is rule number 1.
Being okay with it, but then also, how are you finding the things in your life that help you in those moments, right? I think one of the things for me is the trigger, which we've talked about before, but I use it all the time, and it's some type of physical trigger that when I know I'm getting to that place where I could go to that tipping zone, especially when I'm with my children at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, besides drinking wine, is I push my toes into the ground. And that is my physical reminder about kind of what am I doing. And I use it all day.
Breath.
Yours is breath.
Mine is a deep breath. My kids now know that if I go, that I am truly trying to ground myself and not exactly positive how I'm going to react to something, and might not be totally happy with how I react. I also think being okay with embracing apologies and embracing the next day or the day after, allowing that to bring a bigger conversation about behavior and about messing up and about being okay with not always, showing up exactly the way we think we're supposed to. Because that pressure is not good on anyone. And being able to talk about apologies and being able to talk about, we're human, right?
We're human.
Embrace
We're totally
it.
Human.
Embrace it.
Yeah.
And anybody that's trying to show up like they're perfect. They're not, and they know it, and it's okay. And we're here to tell you that it's okay. And these are all, in the grand scheme of things, what I call first world problems, right?
Oh yeah, totally. I think that goes back to the whole thing is actions speak louder than words, though, and that how often that 98% of what we communicate is through our nonverbals, and that's hard to believe. I mean, that's a lot, but it does. It says so much, and I think it's like, what are you doing? But also, yes, how are you being real? And when you mess up, be okay with apologizing, or being okay with admitting that like you weren't your best self, or taking a breath and just acknowledging yourself sometimes, and giving yourself permission that that wasn't my best moment, but that's okay. And it's hard to do. It's so hard for me to do because I tend to want to hang on to things, and being able to just acknowledge it and then let go, and don't hold the regret, and that challenges me all the time, but it's something I'm really trying to work on.
I'm getting better at that, and also finding those teachable moments that maybe don't involve us, that we're fortunate enough to observe good, bad, or indifferent from afar, and using those as teachable moments. And that time in the car that you have with your loved ones and your kids, and for me, how much I drive around my kids' friends, and those fun, teachable, or maybe not so fun, teachable moments where you can really bring on a bigger conversation about like humanhood, and about young girls, and about the world, because the world is a really crazy place,
I read this thing the other day, and my mom and your dad used to do this with me, and I kind of want to start doing it, but I thought it was a great reminder, is do table conversations, and if you have family dinners or girlfriend dinners or couple dinners, all those really fun, is under each plate put a question.
Love it.
And it's a table starter, whether it's starting with like the person sitting next to you or with the whole family sitting at the dinner table.
Good
but
stuff.
I think that's fun. It's like it brings out, those are the actions, right? Those are the real conversations that we should be inviting more into our lives.
And I think the more those conversations happen, the more, back to the actions speak louder than words, the more that we are reminded about how to show up, how to act, how to really, really, truly be our authentic selves in the heat of the moment. I also, another article I read last week, it said that great for table conversation, because we always do, what are you grateful for, or what was the best thing about your day. I thought this was great. It said, how did I fail today, and what am I going to do differently tomorrow? And being okay with having those conversations, like right out of the gate, so that then failure isn't necessarily like, okay, but you know what? It's okay.
Yeah, and it's also good. We do that. We do our highs and lows, and I think it's really good for the kids to have the parents or the adult figure identify what's their high and what's their low, and being transparent about it, and honest. And that's those actions. It goes back to those actions are so important in seizing those teachable moments in our lives, whether that's with children or with friends or with people in our community. How are we making
so what I'm going to do a fun question to end up with. What have you observed somebody in the community or within, you were in San Francisco this weekend, what have you observed that you were like, wow, I am like really impressed with the behavior of that stranger, like how they just did what they did, or behaved in what way?
Yeah, well, it's a great question, and I know exactly what it is we were at a park, and parks are hard because you're watching your kids, but we were socializing at the same time, and my youngest fell off this little bar, and I didn't see it right away, and this woman went over and just picked her up and just started hugging her, and was like, you're gonna be okay, you're gonna be okay. And Margot just hugged her back. And I was like, that is just that human connection, and she just was offering her best. So what about you?
And that's an action speaks louder than words. I have a few that are coming to mind, but I'm gonna reference my daughter on Monday morning when we were off camping. There was a boat and a bunch of kids, and parents got on a boat, and then she thought they saw her running for the boat because she had to go grab her life preserver, and she didn't, and they didn't, and next thing she knew, they were pulling away, and they couldn't come back, and there wasn't enough room, and there was one other parent, sweet Amy, on the pier, and she saw my daughter, and I was way far away, I couldn't have dealt with it, but I definitely knew that she was in pain or sad, or not exactly sure how to deal with the situation. And our friend Amy literally sat down with her, put her arm around her. So from afar, I'm watching somebody put her arm around her and literally turn to her and just start chatting with her. And then within about 3 minutes, go behind her and started braiding her hair.
it.
And by the time she came up from the pier, and I didn't hear any of the words, I was too far away.
Yeah.
And it would have been just as easy for Amy to say, "It's okay, don't worry, you can go on the boat next time," and
Right.
walk away, right?
Right.
But instead, because Kate was all alone,
Yeah.
she fully engaged with her, and I'm sure dealt with the topic for maybe 30 seconds a minute,
Yeah.
and then moved on to change the subject and
Yeah.
make sure she felt supported and loved, and then it all just worked out, you know. And so I just
Good
hope,
example.
my goal, hi, how are you? My goal in life is to be able to just walk through life showing up, whether it's with a smile or a kind gesture, or maybe sometimes just neutral,
Yeah.
in a way that other people can learn from, grow from, and be inspired by.
And that's what we invite you to do, is find what works for you and find how you can show up and be a little bit more intentional or present or full in how you're bringing yourself forward in your life, and have fun with it. And don't stress out about it, but manifest it, make it happen.
And it happens with hair and makeup
All the
and
time.
behavior and
Every day.
clothing and
Yeah.
how you drive. And I mean, think about
Yeah.
it's crazy, Train.
It's
It
crazy.
it can make your head spin when you
Yeah.
realize how much your actions speak louder than words every single solitary day.
Yeah.
So cheers to
Cheers.
you from
Happy
G3.
Wednesday.
Yep, happy Wednesday, and enjoy all the beautiful activities that are going on in the world and your
Awesome.
life right now. Cheers.